So Danny, going down to the celebrity tent, there were some photos taken, and you can kind of comment on the first one. It's William Fichtner, who inherited the pole position when Steve Moyer crashed.
Correct. And you know what? I think him and Steve would have just put on a wonderful, trouble-free race, because they were both very, very good. And Bill's just a pleasure to work with. He was in the race a couple other times too, and a few years ago. But great guy.
And here you are with William Fichtner.
Mr. Fichtner, right? Yep.
And you and your instructors in your school are there helping, and does each celebrity stay with the instructor that trained him or her?
No. We rotate around. We want everybody to get different ideas. And the best part of this whole program is my son has taught on this project with me for over 20 years, and he runs a school and a racetrack up in Utah, Miller Motorsports. My daughter used to be on the Champ Car pace car team and helps me teach. She's, paced a number of races at Long Beach and traveled all over. So it's a family deal.
Okay, and now we have Kevin Jones and Tito.
Kevin Jonas and Tito Ortiz. Kevin, one of the Jonas brothers, and a great young man, very grounded. Did a really good job too, in the race. He hardly knew how to drive a stick shift car, wow. So he really climbed the hill pretty good. So.
And then the entire group photo, which is always a classic, and
crazy.
And the fans are around the gate asking for autographs. It's very exciting.
Yeah. It's fun. It's just a pleasure.
And finally, the start of the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race. One of my favorites of the entire weekend, and I think a fan favorite as well.
Oh, absolutely. We just hope they get through turn one and, the first lap, and we just want everybody to finish, then it's a success.
And how many years have you been doing this with the Toyota?
26. I've worked every race at Long Beach, but last 26 teaching all the pros and celebrities.
So you've trained hundreds and hundreds of celebrities, all sizes, shapes, male, female, and all.
Absolutely.
I know Mary Lou Retton, the Olympic tumblist, was one of the celebs one year.
Yeah, her husband told me how she wasn't a very good driver, and we found out real quickly she couldn't fit into a car very well because she was only about this tall, And when I went in to ride with her after demonstrating exercise, she moves the seat all the way up. She's wearing the steering wheel, the gear shift lever's way back here, and I'm looking at her, you can't drive like that. So I told Toyota, you got to build, I call them booster pedals, but they were pedal extensions.
So she could literally reach the pedals.
I said, you got to move her back in the seat at least 12 inches.
Wow.
And it turned her totally around. Now she fit in the car right.
Yeah.
And she ended up setting the second fastest race lap of all the pros and the celebrities.
Wow.
She didn't win it. She got into a little altercation with Bob Golick, the football player, but, as she was diving under to pass him, otherwise she could have won it. But she was just great and obviously competitive.
Sure, if you're an Olympian, absolutely. And Marilyn Raskob, another one of your celebs.
Oh my gosh, she's, about an hour into the training, I just demonstrated an exercise and I climb in and I'm riding with her and all of a sudden she starts getting a little misty. Oh, I'm scared, I don't know if I can do this. And I said, so we pulled over the side and I said, okay, how long have you been an actress? And she said, 13 years. I said, do you remember the first day you ever acted? And she said, yes. I said, were you very good? And she said, no. And I said, well, listen, you've only been on the racetrack for an hour and guess what? You're not very good yet. I said, you just don't know the script yet. That's my job. I'm going to teach you the script. Accelerate here, brake here, change gears here, turn, accelerate. And I said, once you know that, you'll be fine. And you know what? She won in my mind. Was she the fastest? No. Was she the slowest? No. Yeah. But she won because she accomplished something that I don't think she thought she could do.
That's great. She stretched her envelope.
Absolutely.
And she did something. I remember we interviewed Leslie Gore a few months ago, hit song at the age of 16, It's My Party. And I asked her, how do you get out in front of a couple of thousand people? Aren't you scared? She said, yeah, I was scared, but my philosophy of life is if you're scared, you do it. And you reach, you stretch the envelope.
You push your own personal envelope. Yeah. And I've had more than one celebrity tell me, I never thought I could do this. Now I know I can, so I'm going to push myself a little farther. You know, I mean, some of these stories make me a little emotional because, you know, as a teacher, it's so self-satisfying.
Yeah, you really, I try and empower my students, and you're actually empowering them to do something which most of them have never done before, and to do it safely and to be able to enjoy it.
Well, as a teacher, you know, in my environment, sometimes you have to put your thumb on people in a positive way. Sometimes you have to put your arm around them and nurture them a little bit. But that's the whole science of teaching. What works the best? You know,
And
it's so much fun.
And as you said earlier, they're competing. They want to win, but the most important thing is to enjoy it. They raise money for racing for kids.
Absolutely.
And they're all in together, and it's a unique experience.
Absolutely. You compete within yourself.
Yeah.
To do the best that you can do. That's what winning is performing at your highest level.
It's not beating someone else, it's maxing yourself out.
See, yeah, absolutely.
We'll be back with this fascinating discussion after these messages. We're back, continuing this great conversation with Danny McKeever, owner of the Fast Lane Racing School, a race car driver, stunt driver, TV commercials, kind of done it all. And let me hold up the booklet that the celebrities get when they come up for 4 days at the racing school. And Danny, your racing school teaches both racing but also defensive driving academy.
Correct.
So people can come up there who don't want to necessarily become race car drivers, but simply learn how to drive safely.
Right. It's almost the same. When we've done police training, marine training, and other forms. But you know, when I give talks on driving, I'll pick somebody out in the audience and say, listen, if I'm teaching you how to be a race car driver, you want to know how fast you can take this turn and have control of the car. I'll look at somebody else and say, if I'm going to teach your kid how to avoid accidents, they get in an accident avoidance situation, how much can they turn the steering wheel and still control the car? It's all the same stuff.
Same principles.
Absolutely. It's feeling the car out, understanding where the limits are, and obviously in the street you want to keep out of accidents. We actually show you some skills, but we want you to never have to use them.
Yeah.
But if you keep your eyes up, you can look farther ahead.
Well, if you have an interest in either becoming a race car driver or simply learning how to drive better and more defensively, we'll put the telephone number and the website of Danny's school up at the end of the segment, and it'll be a unique experience. I've gone through a racing school, not Danny's, but it's a fantastic experience many years ago. Maybe someday I'll get up there. Where's it located, Danny?
It's at Willow Springs International Raceway in Rosamond, just north of Lancaster. It does make you a better driver on the street because you feel better and more in control.
And you also have satellite schools elsewhere throughout Southern California where you have the Defensive Driving Academy classes, and they can be 1 day, 2 day, 3 days.
The racing school is a 1 day, 2 day, or 3 day, or even a half a day. The defensive driving is a half or a 1 day, and it's a lot of fun.
So here's the Bible, and what are some of the subjects that are covered in your in this 4 day course for the celebrities?
Well, if you go through our 1 day school, you're going to go through the same program that the celebrities did for the first day. If you take the 2 or 3 day, it gets a little more advanced, and we change tracks on you.
More behind the wheel time.
Oh,
obviously.
well, you get more, more than most schools. But we start out with the basics: how to sit in the car properly.
Yes,
that's very critical. Well, Mary Lou Retton was a good example.
Yeah. One thing that I learned, I mean, I now drive with both hands on the wheel, and when you see that in-camera shot. But I mean, when we were growing up, they had those lover things where you could that thing.
Brody knobs.
Yeah. But that's not the way to drive safely.
No. It's funny because we had Karl Malone and a couple other basketball players in the car. Well, we had to take the frame rails out of the seat and bolt it to the floor, otherwise they wouldn't fit in there. But seating position is the first thing we talk about. It's so
I've
critical.
had the chance on press day, of course, to drive in some of them. It's the e-ticket ride. And what's so alarming to me was how realistic the video games are for the racing school. That is what you see when you're in that race car, just like it is on the video game.
But you don't feel it.
You don't
feel the G-forces. Yeah. I did that in an airplane thing, and I landed great, except I missed the runway. It was very smooth landing, but I missed the runway, but you don't get the feeling. Yeah. But, some of those video games are great to learn tracks, though.
And those drivers, and you were a professional racing driver, and still are, I guess, for many, many years, but they are truly athletes. I mean, I know you lose several pounds of water and weight in the course of a race.
Absolutely.
And there's no margin for error. You make one slight slip up on one of 15 turns and you're in the wall or behind the pack.
Yeah, you have to be an athlete, but obviously Danica Patrick and Sarah Fisher both went to our school. They were pros, when they were in the celebrity race, and obviously they can't bench press 400 pounds, but let me tell you something, they are in really good shape. Yeah. All race car drivers, you have to be there's mental fatigue and there's physical fatigue. So.
And you have to, for 2 hours in the actual Grand Prix race, each turn, you have to keep that focus. And I'm thinking about it. There's no one else on your team. It's just you. And every second of every turn of every lap, you have to be focused, or you can
100%.
Be in the wall.
Have you ever driven home and you get there and you think, how did I get here? I don't remember driving, because you weren't thinking about it. You can't drive on a racetrack like that.
Yeah.
You have to put 100% concentration.
Well, you obviously love what you do, and you love people, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons the school is so successful.
Well, I just turned I started teaching in '67, but did it for free for 20 years, and then in '86 I had a chance to make a few bucks, and I kept my expenses low because I didn't care whether I made a lot of money, and my daughter Allison runs my school now on a day-to-day basis, and I still teach, but I just love what I do. And
it's not work if you love what you do.
Oh, no. The secret to life is find out what your passion is and figure out how to make money.
Amen to that. I believe that.
You're doing it.
We'll be back with the remainder of our show after these messages.
Welcome to McKenna's on the Bay, where fine dining is complemented with a breathtaking view. McKenna's is a restaurant of incredible ambiance, providing service and cuisine with style, class, and romance. The menu offers a variety of appetizers, serious seafood, prime steaks, an oyster bar, and specialty entrees for either lunch or dinner. McKenna's on the Bay features patio dining, nightly entertainment, and 2 banquet facilities. No matter what your occasion, McKenna's on the Bay is like being on vacation. Join us today at McKenna's on the Bay.
Wonderful conversation with a man on the top of his game in a great field. And Danny, is there a common denominator among the successful drivers in your experience?
Desire and wanting to do it, and just trying to perform at your highest level, and it just getting, I don't know, it's just so much fun to watch everybody progress and get better and get up to their level, and
And you said earlier, it's really a race against yourself. I mean, you want to beat your opponent, but you're really racing against yourself.
Absolutely. We tell them to focus on driving the racetrack first and the traffic second. And there was a little story with Donnie Osmond when he tipped the car. I don't want to say roll, but tipped the car in turn 1.
Yeah.
And after the race, I said, "You okay?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What happened?" He says, "Well, I was watching Sean Palmer, and he says, I was watching where he was braking. I thought, I'll just go a little deeper." And I said, "Donnie, you can't do, you have to brake where you know you can." Yeah. And sometimes you can brake a little better, braking a little
So
early.
Here's the takeaway. Brake where you think it's right to brake. Danny, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. A pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you at home for being our guest via television. Please join us next week for the next edition of Straight Talk. Good night, everyone.
Straight Talk has been brought to you by Southern California Edison, the Press Telegram, and remember, Straight Talk is viewable worldwide 24/7 at straighttalktv.com.